Someone that comes in organically, maybe they're on the lower end of that. They need a few touch points. Someone that comes in from Meta, they need a lot of touch points because they may not even know what PPF is.
Detailer's Roadmap Cruise Control, where we navigate the roadways of life, business, and everything in between. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Cruise Control Podcast. We are here at Mobile Tech Expo 2025 MTE down here in Orlando. And while we're here, we're going to do a few little podcasts here, like 10 of them. And I'm trying to invite people that I think can serve the community, the detailing PPF tent wrap community, in a way that will be helpful in short, condensed episodes that we're doing instead. I'm here with Stephen Lee from Rogue Marketing, and from way up north in Alaska. I'm from Montana, but he's like, that's for sissies, and so he's up in Alaska.
Where the real men live.
But we had an opportunity to meet with, we went to Detailing Summit with William Laura, and really hit it off. I love your family.
Thanks.
I love that you had your family with you. Your wife is awesome.
I love them too.
Had a chance to talk to her a little bit.
Yeah.
But give us a little bit of background. Normally on the podcast, we do this big, long superhero backstory and stuff. We'll have you back on to get that done.
Okay.
You were just telling me some super interesting stuff. But give us your background, what you do, what your company does, what ROAS means in your world, which ROAS doesn't mean the same thing that I thought it did. So, but give me that.
Okay. So, quick crash story. We have been in the detailing space, or the restyling space, for a few years now. Started off, more general, working with anyone and everyone on anything and everything, and then we several years ago partnered up with a shop, detailing shop, and I had done, I don't want to say light detailing. It was like a hobby kind of growing up that turned into a little bit of a side hustle through high school and college. Cleaning my truck, cleaning other people's cars, like family members, friends, and then just branched out from there a little bit. So I think I knew like 10% more than the average person about, like, that's what I tell people, is I'm not a detailer, but I knew just a little bit more than the average Joe. And so when the shop came on and they wanted to partner up with us, we hadn't worked with a shop before in that way. And we put a very basic campaign together for them. It was in September. They were worried about slowing down in October. It was in Alaska, so our winter hits, as you probably know, in Montana a little earlier. And they were worried about the slow season starting, and within a couple weeks, I think they spent like $200 and booked like $6,000 worth of work. And so we thought, oh, well, there's might be something to this. And so then we started looking for other shops to partner up with in other areas to test, and it went well for them. And then we partnered up with another shop in another area, and it went well for them. And then we just started focusing and growing in that realm. And now we focus on anything and everything in this space, window tint, detailing, still some coatings, PPF, wraps. Every now and then we'll get a PDR client here and there, but that's our main focus, bread and butter.
Okay, so tell me exactly what Rogue Marketing does, though, because everybody's like, hey, that's a marketing agency, but tell me, like, what's the menu of services that you guys offer?
Sure. So we do everything from social media to pay-per-click to, there's some great CRMs here, like You're Able and OrbisX and those guys, but we have what we call a front-end CRM, where we can help with email nurture, SMS nurture, sales, blasts. I do sales coaching, helping people understand the psychology of just how to connect with people and dial in their sales, and not so scripted, but just understanding, how to identify where people are in the sales journey and know where to partner and take them that way. We also do some marketing coaching, where if a shop is or a business is not necessarily in a revenue range where it makes sense to hire a team to come in and take over things for them, we'll do some consulting, essentially, where I'll come in, it'll be me individually, I'll come in, I'll look at their campaigns, I'll do an audit on their accounts, and then we'll just go through step by step of how to either fix that or scratch it and start a brand new strategy and get them some better footing to go forward with.
So basically, we have two sides of the coin. In marketing, typically, it's like the DFY, done for you, right?
Yep.
Versus DIY. And what I've seen more, and maybe you can comment on this, is that, like what you're talking about, this hybrid model. I work with a guy named Chase Chappell, who's a big Facebook PPC guy, but he's got that hybrid model. It's like, all right, well, here, I'll teach you how to do it. We'll do some of it with you, some of it for you, and all that. Yep. That's more of a hybrid model. Right?
Yeah. When I talk with people, I present both options, but I'll tell them which I think makes the most sense for them, because at the end of the day, I think you were just mentioning, like, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to grab people's money, and after that, they don't really care where it goes. Yeah. I don't ever want that perception from anyone. I care at the end of the day more about being a good human than money. Yeah. Because, not to go way off track here, but someday when we leave this world, like, I can't take money with me. Yeah. But I can take, that was a good guy. He did good work. He was a good person. And that's what I care about more. So when I meet with people, I'll tell them, I don't think it makes sense for you to actually consider hiring our team with where you're at. But I mean, you can, but I think I would offer, maybe let's do some coaching for a little bit, see if you can get your revenue up on your own with a little bit of help, a much more cheaper, affordable style help. You can invest more in your ad spend that way. And then when it makes sense for you to hand over the reins, we'd love to be an option. And if not, that's fine too. I just want to help people. Yeah, we do that with Detailers Roadmap a lot. Yeah. Chris talks about, we turn a lot of people away. Probably more people get turned away than we take on as partners. Yeah. Because it's, you want to make sure that it's successful, right? Like, you want to be successful. Yep. What was your background before you did this? Like, how did you get into, like, what was your transition into marketing? And PPC in particular, like, because you have the niche, right? Riches are in the niches, right? Yep. So you developed this skill set. How did that come about? As far as just getting into the marketing, or what I did before marketing? Just give me the story. Just everything? Yeah. So I actually have a doctorate. I have a doctorate in physical therapy, and I went to school, went to college. That's why his biceps are bigger than mine, but technically mine are bigger, but you just can't see them. Yeah. Anyway, so. It's the very pale Alaskan skin just hides the muscle mass. I did some fake tan before, so. Yeah. So I have a doctorate in physical therapy, and some of our clients know this, some don't. I'm board certified in orthopedics as well, and went to college, thought I was going to go to med school, had some sales jobs. I was in college, always enjoyed it, like always enjoyed talking with people and helping guide them to what their goals were. Yeah. And so that really stuck with me, and I think it actually helped me in the healthcare field, because there was a lot of motivation I had to deal with, motivating people that they were going to be okay, this and that. And I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur. I did, the light detailing side when I was in high school and college was very minor, but I had a lawn and landscaping company that I took all the way through grad school, and was successful, like, paid our bills, and I just like building things. Mm-hmm. So went in the healthcare field for about a decade, did everything from working with an NBA team, National Basketball Association, to being a commissioned healthcare officer and helping with the pain and opioid epidemic. And several years ago, I just felt the itch to build something different, and just kind of got tired of it, and felt like I needed to stretch my legs and grow in some ways. And so started considering other options. And two of my best friends, one of them works for one of the largest marketing companies in the US. He does sales. And then my other best friend had his own marketing business. And so I was kind of asking them some questions, and I thought, well, talked with my wife, and we decided we would buy a course and just learn more about it, and then that led into other courses, and then that led into starting to work with clients, and then after some time, here we are in this industry. There you are. So yeah. Yep. So one of the reasons, because I kind of knew we had talked about that a little bit before when we met, and one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up is because I had a conversation with a guy, and he's like, I hate my business. And he's like, and I know I should
not be that way. And I'm like, well, maybe this, if you're unhappy, you either need to do something different or do something else.
Yeah.
Right? Do what you're doing differently or do something else.
Yep.
And I wanted to bring that up because it's such a diversion and divergence from what you were doing versus what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Like, how would you explain that motivation, like to take that leap? Because obviously you're a really smart guy. Anybody can get it. I have a degree in exercise physiology, and I could not have done PT school. I just decided to be a personal trainer instead and run health clubs. So, but like, so you have a natural ability to absorb information and do that. But I'm curious about kind of this motivation side of things, that doing something that you really enjoy, even if it means a complete change. Not that I want everybody in the detailing industry to not do it, but like, I want to motivate people to make changes when they need to make changes.
Yeah. I had been feeling that I needed a change for a while, and it started to affect how I was personally, just like myself, how I felt about myself every day, waking up and going to do something I didn't enjoy doing. I didn't, for years, I did not want to wake up and go do my job, and I did, and I tried to be good at it still, and eventually I would say that almost became, I don't want to say toxic, but it started permeating into other areas of my life.
Became part of your identity.
Yeah, like I would come home smoked and just like not fulfilled and tired and having to think about I got to rinse and repeat. It was Groundhog Day, It felt like Groundhog Day. And so I knew I needed to make a change, and I was a bit worried too. I was a bit fearful, but something I learned years ago is thoughts, feelings, and actions. And if you get stuck in letting your feelings dictate your actions, that's a downward spiral. You're not really going to go anywhere. And so I chose to go in a different path, even though the feeling was like, oh, can I do this? Am I worried? It's been a long time since I had a business. This is something a bit different. I took some courses, but this is new. And then I just had to lean into that. Well, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to choose this. And probably like the training side or going to the gym, like there's some days I don't want to wake up and go to the gym, or I don't want to work out. I don't think you have those days because,
all the time.
I think your pecs are about to bust out of your shirt there. They're staring at me. But anyways, just making that choice to do something different, and that eventually will change your feeling because the action that you choose reinforces that. And so you're letting your mind, you're kind of the general, you're like, cold baths, whatever it may be. Like, I don't want to do that, but I'm going to. I know I need to. And that was the drive. And then you start having success and seeing other people be successful, which is, I absolutely love that. And then it just starts to reinforce it. Instead of spiraling down, you begin to spiral up. At least that's my experience.
I really like that. Yeah, we talked, I was with Rennie Doyle yesterday in his presentation. I talked about this with the last podcast, but one of the things I stood up and said that so many people get caught up on is, and I've done it myself, is changing the mentality from this is just who I am to this is the behaviors I've been practicing.
Yeah.
Because if you put that on yourself, that I'm just always going to be in the PT healthcare field, right? Like this is going to be my thing.
Yep.
Versus like I've been doing this, but I feel called to do something else.
Yep.
And then being able to like, I'm not just this I am a different person, and these are the things I've been doing, and makes it so I can do something.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears to talk about what you do.
Yeah.
One of the things that I see in our industry, there was a post the other day that talked about basically getting on Facebook and I've been posting content forgive me if you listen to this, and I'm not going to mention them by name, but I've been posting on Facebook for a week and I'm not seeing any engagement.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, a week is not very long.
I've been going to the gym and I don't have 45-inch biceps in a week, Kevin. What the hell?
That's right. It's supposed to work that way. So in general, in all of these industries that we're around, they kind of suck at social media in general, but in particular, I don't think anybody knows the most people know is like, oh, I'm going to boost that post.
Yeah.
Which we know is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
It's just a really good way for Facebook to make more money. But kind of let's just walk through the 101 of pay-per-click advertising. Chris gives the example of, well, the ROAS, the return is, or the conversion rate is between 2.5 and 11%. And I'm thinking 11, I love 11%. But talk to me why that's so important as a component of your marketing. Because you do email nurture, so let's walk through PPC, and we can break it down like Facebook, like what kind of things can we do better with Facebook, Google Ads, and how all of those things work together. Because I want to just give the 101 of this stuff.
Sure. So where we like to, when I meet with people, when I meet with folks, shop owners, business owners, and we're consulting about what they want to do, what their goals are, where they want to see their business, I try to get a feel for what their operations are. Yeah. Someone who is a mobile guy and it's just him, and he is doing everything from, handling the phone calls to actually going out and doing all the work to making sure he keeps his product supply up, managing everything. He's not going to be able, or really probably does not need to have the same lead flow that like a shop that's doing 80,000 a month, they want to get to 160,000 a month needs, right? Yeah. They probably have sales guys that they just need to keep busy, and they just need rammed with emails, phone calls, and as much as possible. So we try to custom tailor everything to that person. I don't believe in trying to fit like a square peg in a round hole or like a one size fits all approach. Our default is we want to make sure people are found first. Even if whether they have really good SEO or not, the good SEO is absolutely critical, I think, for making people grow and finding them organically. There's still 3 sponsored slots that show up above the number 1 organic slot. Right. And so even if they're that number 1 sponsored slot, there's 3 other businesses claiming some of their traffic. We want to make sure they show up. So our default is to start on Google typically, and to make sure that they're being found, or if they have good SEO, double found, and capturing people that we know are actively searching for their services in their market.
And that's because the return on ad spend is higher on Google, right?
Typically.
It's cheaper to get those leads from Google than, Facebook's expensive, right? So that's, is that why you go that way first? Typically,
if we were to run just straight cold lead gen on Facebook, you're going to get a metric ton of leads. I have this diagram I should have printed out and brought. Send it to me, we'll put it up. We'll do a B-roll on it.
Yeah,
it's a little pyramid, and it kind of has 4 different marketing channels, and it's referral, organic, and the pyramid gets bigger as you go down. Referrals, organic, pay-per-click, and then disruptive advertising.
Okay, right.
And disruptive can be anything from like TV, radio, mail outs, Facebook ads, anything. And a sliding scale on the right side, top
disruptive
of the pyramid.
Means they're doing something and you're putting yourself in the middle of that something.
Exactly.
Right?
They're not looking
for you.
You're disrupting whatever they were doing in that moment. Okay. So on the right side of this pyramid, at the top is usually there's the least amount of referrals, but they have the highest close rate.
Right.
A shop does a good job. They send a buddy over to get, hey, my buddy needs a full front PPF. He's been looking for someone to do that and tint his windows. 9 out of 10 times they should close that referral because that person sold the job for them, right? As you go down that pyramid, you get more opportunities but a lower close rate. So you're going to get more organic leads coming in than you will referrals. You're going to close probably 50-60% of those. Pay-per-click, you drop down a rung, you can close. We see anywhere between probably 18 and 30% close rates, depending on the service.
Right.
Window tint is always going to have, I think, the highest close rate for a couple reasons. 1, lower barrier to entry. 2, it's the most understood. There's different types of
people understand films. This was clear, this was not.
Right. They understand the practicality of it. And then 3, I think it's viewed as the most, of all the services in this industry, we can sit and talk about how you need PPF for your vehicle or you need a ceramic coating for your vehicle, but people know, at the end of the day, they can drive their car from point A to point B without those things on it. But window tint, you get in your car in the summertime, you don't have your 2 fronts tinted, you drive across town, you get burned.
Yeah.
That's not something they want. So It also tends to have the highest amount of search volumes in any market across the board. Often even when you combine PPF and ceramic coating search volumes, window tint will be 5 to 10 times higher in search volumes than the paint protection services.
That's awesome.
So if I were to, I tell people that I meet with all the time, if I were to open a shop in Alaska, which our shop in Alaska, one man show did 360,000 last year, 110 of it was just in window tint. That's in Alaska, where we need it the least in the US. If I were to open a shop anywhere, the first thing I would offer would be window tint because of the drive, the demand, and it can just keep you busy.
I wouldn't even consider that. That's really, so even if, so just, like, let's not even look at it as a standalone revenue source. It can be a generative revenue source into your other services.
Oh,
also.
for sure.
I mean, clearly, what you just said, if it's 33% of that person's business, you know, that's its own revenue source. But it also, just the search engine alone will, and easier PPC, gets them in the door.
It does, and then, I mean...
This episode is brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is, at Detailer's Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailer's Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailer's Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS.
People with older cars need window tint, but a lot of people with newer cars are looking for window tint. And maybe they found you through, you know, a window tint campaign or window tint efforts. They come in the shop, there's a nice car over there setting up curing after you just coated it. Oh, what's that? You know, oh, well, let me tell you about it. Upsell opportunities. So, window tint is always going to have the highest, and then you go down a rung finally, and we're on the disruptive side. So, disruptive meaning anything that you're doing marketing-wise that you're going to them instead of them coming to you, basically. That's going to generate the most amount of traffic opportunities, leads typically, but it's going to have the lowest immediate close rate. And that's due to where they're coming in on the funnel, because if you take that pyramid, you know, referrals, organic, pay-per-click, disruptive, and you flip it, it's basically your marketing funnel. So disruptive advertising, if it's cold, they're coming in at the top of the funnel. They're in the awareness category. They maybe don't even know what the service is, but the ad was compelling enough that they took action and want to talk to you about it. And then the further down the funnel you go, the closer to that buying decision you get. And so your lead source, you know, pay-per-click's going to be close to that buying decision. Organic's right there, and then you convert them, and then after that, that's where you get referrals from. So without the diagram, I hope I didn't just...
No, that makes total sense to me. You can follow that. I love the idea that you flip it, because we talk about marketing funnels, but I don't think many people know what a funnel looks like.
I show them. I mean,
that's a world that I live in also, which is so. But so if someone comes in and you're like, all right, we're going to start with Google Ads, we're going to develop, but then you have to do. You're trying to develop. So the question I want to basically get to is, all right, I'm a brand new person in this realm. I don't know really anything. I don't really have the budget necessarily to hire somebody at whatever it costs, which is usually a pretty decent investment, right? For done-for-you stuff. They don't want to just throw up a $200 a month Google ad budget and let's drive it to our home URL, right? Like, we're just going to drive it to our website, because that's a waste of money. So talk to me about that. Like, what things do people need to have in place, and how many of those do they currently have in place, most people, in order to make it successful and worthwhile? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, just from like the Google pay-per-click standpoint.
Just any paper. So if we're looking at that whole funnel, right, most people don't have any of those in place. And so what they'll typically do is they'll just throw up a boosted post. Throw $50 at that boosted post or whatever, and and think, oh, well, it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you have no way to capture who they are.
Boosted posts are kind of like the Google what were they, smart campaigns, where it's just you're given these platforms, their main goals are to get you to spend more money.
Right.
And so a lot of the things when I'm auditing accounts, whether it's for someone that's going to hire our team or just get some coaching, I just go over best practices. Having a good content strategy in place on social media, even though it may not get a lot of engagement, that's important, and it's free. It's not something you have to pay for. So I think Chris talked about, like, get in front of the camera. You don't even need fancy equipment. Just have a selfie stick, or just hold your phone out like this.
I got really long arms, so mine's easy.
Right, there's those biceps. What's in the shop Wednesday? Hey guys, here's what we have coming in today. Here's what's going out. Here's what we did to this vehicle. Do something different. Like, you know what? That is not supposed to be there, and that was a mistake, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix this now.
Yeah.
And don't just post pictures of cars with a breakdown with a little emoji and emblem of did this, did this, did this. Like, that's fine to have every now and then, but if that's your everyday content, it's like eating bologna sandwiches for every meal. Like, you're going to get tired of it eventually. Yeah. So a content strategy in place is important. And then if you can, I would always start with Google pay-per-click. From a profitability standpoint, the conversion rates are higher because it's people. If you set the campaigns up correctly, sometimes you can set those campaigns up and they're getting in front of, it's almost like Facebook ads. It's almost disruptive if you don't structure them right. But if you set them up properly, you're ideally getting in front of people that are searching for those services. And that's what I want. I want to make sure that people are finding us that want to be found by us. Yeah. So a landing page at the minimum is what you need if you have a very basic website. That's okay, but I know that you guys do standalone landing pages. We do landing pages. You can now have like tools that'll develop them for you with a little AI that's pretty quick that our developer has shown some people how to use. But you need a destination to drive them to. So something simple. But
you don't recommend just sending direct to the URL.
Sending them directly from Google, like to a website.
Just to the front page. Let's say
no. Sending them to a standalone page, and the reason being is the landing page converts better than a website, because your website, and if Chris comes after me with a chair in a minute, forgive me. I don't want to bastardize this, but a website is like your digital storefront, and you guys build big, beautiful digital storefronts. But sometimes they're so nice that if you drive them there, they may forget what they were looking for because they get lost in just how all the options. It's like you walk into the mall to go to a store, but how many stores are you actually hitting before you get there? A landing page keeps it more focused. And in your campaign, the biggest thing I could give a tip to someone on is from start to finish, from like the first time they see your ad until any automation they get after they submit their information, the messaging needs to be congruent.
Right.
Everything from what the goals of that campaign are, to what the keywords are that you're bidding for, to the copy. Like if you're going after ceramic coatings, talk only about ceramic coatings in the ad. Don't say ceramic coating and then another headline, auto detailing, and then talk about window tint. No, keep them focused on that subject. Same thing for the destination. If you drive them to a destination that's about what they were looking for and about what they read on your ad that compelled them to click through it, keep them focused on that service. And so that's what a landing page does. It keeps them, it's like a funnel in and of itself. And then when they submit their information, whatever automation they may get after that, that language, that verbiage needs to be congruent and talk about that service as well. And that's like the most simple thing. Content strategy, regardless of what your ads are, make sure that they stay focused on that service from point A to point B. And I see just a lot of people kind of get off on those basics. If they shore up those basics, that usually helps quite a bit.
Yeah, because people get distracted, especially now with no,
we're goldfish.
Yeah, we have no attention span whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like 8 seconds, I think, the average American.
Yeah, and so, I sell retail online, and if we'll test like, all right, this is like the perfect product page.
Yeah.
But it still has header, search, other categories, all that stuff, versus drive them directly to a sales page for ad, sales page for that product. And we will test different ways of checkout, whether you add to cart and then go to the cart, or add to cart direct to checkout. So we test all that stuff, and I can tell you, my goal is to separate you from your money as quickly as possible before you can change your mind.
Get the sale. Yeah.
But the way to do that is to keep them in that funnel and keep
Focused
them
on
moving as quickly as possible. Not that we're trying to trick people into buying stuff.
Yeah.
But people, I'm right in the middle of filling out this, I'm reading your site, and then I decide to go to the About Us page. I want to learn more about you, and then, dinner's ready.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I search again and I go to a whole different company.
Yeah.
You just lost them before you have an opportunity to even have a discussion.
It's like this conversation. How productive would this conversation be if someone was coming up and talking to us every 5 minutes? Like, we wouldn't get anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So just keeping that focus, that track, helps a ton. And then I think there's an argument to also be made, or a valid point to be made too. From the technical side, tracking on websites is usually significantly more complex due to the complexity of how the site's built and set up than a landing page. And outside of that, or in addition to that, that can influence your campaigns. Because if you're driving them to the website, even if you have tracking set up, but maybe it's not registering every single conversion, that data isn't making it back into the campaign.
Right.
And so it's not going to be as efficient, versus with a landing page, the tracking's a lot more simple. So you can send that feedback, you can send that data back into Meta or back into Google, and it will drive the performance of the campaign even more because it has good conversion data coming back into it. So that there's pros and cons, but it's just one more win for keep them focused on that service, keep the messaging there, and just keep driving them down.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it makes sense if you're running PPC, they should be going to a landing page. Like that's what you're talking about with best practices. Mm-hmm. We actually offer landing pages now to where you can just buy a landing page, because most people don't do it. Most people don't even know what a landing page is.
Yeah.
And then so what do? You talked about, you said a magic word that people are like, what is that? I've talked about it before, but automation. Yeah. Right? Like, talk to me about email nurture and what you should be doing after that, and also throw in retargeting in that too, because that's actually, the funnel goes, starts to re-loop, right? And that's really important too.
So most people nowadays need about 8 to 12 touch points before they make a buying decision, on average. Someone that comes in organically, maybe they're on the lower end of that, they need a few touch points. Someone that comes in from Meta, they need a lot of touch points, because they may not even know what PPF is, and so there's an education standpoint, and how you talk to those people should be very different. But one of the benefits of technology in today is you can have it work for you, and it can, as you probably know, you can replace a lot of just the mundane things day to day with technology. Email nurture has a very high efficacy rate and a very low cost associated with it. It's very cheap to send. And if you have 1,000 people on your list and every time you lose 15, okay.
Like Chris says, that gives you a gift, because you know that they don't
take it personally. Yeah, it's okay. Like, they don't want to get emails. I unsubscribe from emails every day. It's just something that isn't on their boat. But kind of like the content, it should be different. You don't want to hit them with the sale every single day. Like, oh, hey, 20% off, and then tomorrow, like 10% off. Send something out that's different than what they get. Send why you shouldn't get PPF, on this year, make, and model. And then have a video on it where you're talking about, here's the complexities of this, or talk about the value of a service instead of just a sell. So what we like to encourage folks to do, and what we do, is every few emails or every several emails, like maybe once a month, we'll have kind of throw them a bone.
Right.
Other than that, just stay top of mind and establish value, establish trust. And so that way, when they are ready, they think of you.
That's the Gary Vee, jab, 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 right hook.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was his book. If you've not read that book, that's a good book. But it really is a strategy to where and we kind of do this, where it's information, discount, or, sale, like product. Yeah. We don't even like discount or all that, but we won't offer, like, we're talking about the best ways to clean your Jeep, in my case. I don't hard sell our products within that email, but 3 or 4 emails later, I may mention that we have this product that works really well for that. And the same thing with the service you can talk about. And I like the whole, this is why you shouldn't hire us avenue that you're kind of alluding
disruptive.
to. It's
Catches them off
disruptive. They
guard.
don't expect it.
Yep.
But you're not selling them on that service in that, even though you're selling them on, you really are.
Right.
But
Right.
that's part of it.
Yeah, people buy from people, and so the more that you can make someone laugh, the more you can create some type of emotional register within them, the more like there's a. Are we okay on
No,
time?
you're good.
Sorry. There's actually kind of transitioning back into the medical side. People tend to choose their doctors, their surgeons, their healthcare providers based on who they like, not who they think is the most effective.
Right.
So they're choosing people that they're putting their health care, their lives trust within because they like them, not because of their credentials. It's the same way across the board. So if they like a shop, maybe two shops can stand side by side and be like, oh yeah, you missed that spot, or oh, that tent has a bubble. Most consumers aren't going to notice, but if they like one of them more than the other, they're going to go with them. And so in your emails, in your ads, like, don't just say, I'm number one, we're the best, buy from us, here's a sell. I'm Kevin with Kevin's shop, and I just did a chest workout and it hurts like hell today to polish this car, but we're about to give this one just something different.
We talked about that. The Stephen and Brittany Rusko from North Carolina were on the podcast before, and we were talking about how he's goofy as hell on his stuff because people that's their best performing content because people learn more about him. And we were talking about they work together in their marriage, and this year one of their goals is to be more together on camera because then couples want to buy from other successful couples.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you said, it's people buy from people.
Yep.
How would you, like, if I just want to get the basics started and I've got, let's say $500 a month, let's say I can invest $500 a month, what would be the first steps that you need to have in place, and what, like, whether it's nurture emails or whatever, like how do I get started on that?
I would, assuming you don't have anything like a website, a CRM.
Well, we'll assume they have a website. We'll assume that they have a CRM because these are business people, right?
Okay.
Like, if you don't have any of those things,
that's what I was going to say.
You
That's
need to
where
get
the 500 should go.
Yeah, that 500 should go there.
Yeah.
Because you spend the money on your business license and your garage keeper's insurance, which you probably don't have yet. But so we're assuming that they're an established business.
Okay. I would make sure they have a landing page, a good source to drive it to, understand what their goals are, and I would put that 500 into pay-per-click. Ideally, take some of what you win from that after 2 or 3 months and put it aside and bump your budget up to $750 or $1,000 if you can, because just like everything else, those platforms are getting more expensive.
Yeah.
The clicks are getting more expensive, not just from competitors, but the demand's there, so they can raise their cost as well. Same on Facebook. And reinvest that a bit back. And you mentioned retargeting. Setting up tracking from Meta on whatever the destination is that they're going to, having your Facebook pixel on there. And over a few months, if you're doing Google ads and people are finding you from Google, well, guess what? That Facebook pixel still fires when they land on that page.
Yeah.
And it collects that data. And so whether you use it or not, you have this database of information, this wealth of information that you can go back and tap into later on. You typically need a few months to get a big enough bank, right? A big enough audience size. But then use that, put $150 a month into that to start if you have a low budget. And essentially you're just getting back in front of them on Facebook through a simple retargeting campaign that's saying, hey, you may have forgot about us, but we didn't forget about you, know, and that's powerful because then you're following people around the internet. And then if you just compound things on, like you do a blast text here and there, you send them an email or two, once a week, you're gonna just start winning, and then you'll see your budget, your business, everything else climb.
I love it. Well, we'll consider this the 101, and then we'll have you back on the podcast. We'll do the 201 and 301.
Sounds good.
But I really appreciate you taking time to come by. How do people learn more about what you do, whether they want to do some initial coaching or they want to hire you guys for done-for-you services or whatever?
Yeah, so they can go to our site, rogue-marketing.com. If you Google Rogue Marketing Alaska, we'll pull up. They can find all our information in there. I think that at Detailers Roadmap folks, you guys refer quite a few people to us, so I appreciate being a partner with you guys. We're also in Your Able's marketplace.
Okay, cool.
So if they have Your Able, they can go to the marketplace and find us there as well.
Okay, cool. Steven, thank you very much, man.
Thank you. Thanks. And thank your biceps for being there too.
Head over to detailersroadmap.com and get your one-stop success solution today. This episode is brought to you by Detailers Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is at Detailers Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailers Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailers Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS.